January 31st, and the important FOMC announcement out of the Federal Reserve. I have all the details and exactly what you need to know right here in the video. Let's get right into it. I know in this video we're specifically focusing on the all-important announcement out of the Federal Reserve and the wrap-up of the two-day FOMC meeting on January 31st. Now I do want to talk about what we can expect and why this is such an important announcement, because historically over the last couple years here, the Federal Reserve has been aggressively raising interest rates to bring down all of this inflation that we've been dealing with for a few years now. Well, as a result of that, they're going to be wrapping up yet again another FOMC announcement on the 31st, and that's why I want to talk about it, to see what we can expect and what this would mean for all of us if they continue to raise interest rates, if they pause yet again, or if they cut interest rates. Let's get into it and talk through all the details. Really fast before we do, thanks for joining me. If you have not done so yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button right down below the video. It is totally free to do so, and I'm here for you right by your side every single day, watching all the headlines, doing all the research, and breaking it all down into these short videos, and again, advocating on your behalf in any way that I possibly can, as there's a lot of things going on right now. It is a busy year, and we all know what is coming in November of this year. Therefore, we'll have to continue watching all this information very closely, because we know there's going to be some big announcements between now and essentially the end of the year. Therefore, I'm watching all of it very closely and bringing it to you every single day in these short videos to help you out in any way that I possibly can. Again, thanks for joining me. I truly do appreciate your support. Please make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. And let's get into it and talk about January 31st, the ending of the two-day FOMC meeting. What is this likely going to bring, and what does it mean for us at the end of the day? Now, let's be real. Do we really care what the meeting is all about? I'm going to be honest with you. Not really. But I want to know at the end of the day, what does it mean for us? What does it mean for me? What does it mean for all of you here in this community? Are they going to continue raising interest rates and making it more expensive to borrow money, or essentially float a balance on a credit card? What does it mean for all of us at the end of the day? Because we all know this inflation has been brutal over the last couple of years here. Since early 2021, basically 3 years now, that we've been dealing with all this inflation since they printed that last $1.9 trillion in early 2021. We've been dealing with massive inflation that started to tick up shortly thereafter, the beginning of the year of 2021. And here we are nearly 3 years later, and we're still dealing with all of this that's going on right now. This inflation has been really tough right now. And again, remember, a couple years ago, Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, as well as Janet Yellen, were both out and they said, oh, this is just transitory. Don't worry, everybody. It'll just push right on by shortly thereafter. It hasn't, right? We're still dealing with it. Here we are all these years later, and they acted like, don't worry, it'll be gone in no time. Well, I'm sorry, but when we're paying more for literally everything day after day after day, it gets pretty tiring, and a few years later, we have like no money left, right? As I've mentioned before in other videos, they've essentially siphoned every last penny out of our bank accounts, and that's kind of on purpose, right? Anyway, let's quickly talk about what's going on here and the FOMC meeting, as well as what this is likely going to bring. So we know that mostly in the second half or so, well, basically the third quarter and beyond of 2023, they pretty much paused raising interest rates, right? So that's kind of a good thing, right? Many people are speculating that they're most likely done raising interest rates, and they're also speculating in the second half of this year, 2024, that they're likely going to be starting to cut interest rates pretty aggressively. So we've been seeing this pause for a while now, and they're likely going to start cutting. Now, here's the thing. We need to continue to see what's going on with these interest rates, as well as what's going on with inflation, okay? We know that interest rates are still very elevated, but what's going on with inflation? Now, a few days ago, well, actually a couple of weeks ago, we got the inflation report that came out, right? So it's not great, but it's also not horribly bad either. But also, as I've been saying for a while now, I've been saying this for a couple years, it doesn't necessarily mean that inflation is going down, but rather it is not rising as rapidly. Therefore, it looks like it's going down, but really, it's not really going down. It's just not rising nearly as rapidly as it was over the first couple years that inflation was very hot, right? So anyway, as a result of that, we know that inflation is still very much a problem right now, and the American people have, guess how much money? Zero. The answer is zero. American people have $0. In fact, I talked about this in a separate video, maybe, 6 months ago probably. I talked about this. It was a very interesting report that came out. In August of 2021, the American population, as in we the people, we had $2.1 trillion in savings. Not bad, right? That's a pretty nice amount of money. Guess how much we have in savings now today? Zero. The reports are now showing the American people are completely tapped out. We've got nothing left. They sucked us dry with all of the money out of our bank accounts. That's not cool, right? So they've literally siphoned all the money out of our bank accounts through us, basically inflation, and as a result of that, we have nothing left, okay? So that's just what the reports are now suggesting as of now. So as a result of this, that is basically what they were kind of looking for, because when there's money still in savings accounts, guess what? That can still push inflation because we're still spending money. There's still demand for the supply that is out there. Basically what they need to do is they need to dry up demand, okay? They needed to push away the demand so that the supply could basically catch up. In other words, when there's more demand for products and services, prices must continue to move higher. But when that demand dries up, again, simple economics, then prices can finally stabilize and start coming down. Well, that's what they've essentially been looking for, is we got to get the money out of the possession of the people, because when the people have money, they buy stuff. They cause demand. When there's demand and there's not enough supply, or there's, whatever the situation is here, then we have all this inflation that continues to push. So as a result of that, here we are. We're broke. Everybody's broke. We got no money left, obviously. So some people probably have some money out there, but the vast majority of people don't have anything, and that's what the reports are now suggesting. So anyway, long story short, what we're going to likely expect on this announcement with the 31st is we're probably going to see a pause, okay? They're probably not going to do anything. They're probably still in this wait-and-see approach, right? We're just going to sit back and wait and see what happens here for a while. We're going to wait this thing out for maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 months, something like that, and then we will approach from there. Now, when we come out to the next meeting in another 6 weeks, what is that going to be? Probably like mid-March time? Yeah, mid-March is when the next meeting is. I don't know the exact date. I haven't looked it up, but it's going to be sometime in mid-March, 6 weeks out, okay? They have these meetings once every 6 weeks. They're likely going to examine the situation again at that time to see, okay, can we maybe start cutting? What's going on with the economy? Now remember, they will cut interest rates when the economy starts getting whacked. As I've said before in other videos, the economy is already getting whacked around a little bit right now. But when it starts to get whacked big time, then they'll start cutting interest rates because they want to bring in more demand for borrowing money. And when we, the American people, we borrow money, and when businesses borrow money, then guess what happens? We spend the money. What happens when we spend the money? We stimulate the economy. And the cycle goes on and on, okay? That's literally what's going on here. So the whole purpose of them raising interest rates over the last couple of years here was to bring down demand for spending and borrowing money. When interest rates go up to 7.5%, 8.5% or something like this, we don't want to borrow money. It's very expensive to borrow money at that time. So most people are not borrowing money, but rather they're just sitting back, okay? When we are not borrowing money, that means we're not spending money. If we're not spending money, we're not causing demand in the marketplace for goods and services. If we're not causing demand for goods and services, we're not causing additional inflation. See how this process works, right? So when they raise those interest rates up, we don't do anything. We just kind of hang tight for a while, right? We don't spend money at the degree that we were when interest rates were very low, because it was easy to borrow a bunch of money and spend a bunch of money, right? That's what businesses were doing. That's what people were doing. And again, caused a bunch of inflation and them printing $6 trillion over the course of about a 12-month period of time. So with all that being said, when the economy starts getting whacked around, it starts cracking, it starts going down, things like this, we start entering into this major contraction. Now they lower interest rates to bring in the appetite yet again for borrowing money from us as well as businesses. And then again, the cycle repeats. So see how that goes? But anyway, I want to break this down for you really quickly. I would anticipate they will continue to pause. They'll just continue to wait and see what happens here over the coming months here, and we'll have to see what happens. But that was my anticipation as of now. Can't imagine they're going to cut anything yet, okay? The evidence is not there yet that they need to cut aggressively. But according to what I've been reading on this, a lot of people are suggesting this economy is going to get severely whacked here in the coming months. And in the second half of 2024, where we are right now, the second half, so like, July and after, basically they're going to start cutting aggressively then, because many people are suggesting we're going to be in a major, major recession and a major contraction at that point. like I've said before in other videos, we can only wait and see. We don't know. Only time will tell, right? Nobody knows. We can speculate all we want right now, but speculation doesn't tell us anything other than just give us a good opinion, right? Well, I'm sorry, but opinions don't mean anything right now, right? We need to see factual data and things that are actually happening. What is happening? Make sense? Anyway, hope this helps you. Again, I just want to point out what's going on the 31st and this announcement that's coming out and why it's so important. So the announcement will come out, and then shortly thereafter, we will get the press conference with the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, and he will very carefully tiptoe around all of his remarks because he wouldn't possibly want to say something wrong because that could collapse the markets and all kinds of stuff like that as well. Which, by the way, if you're involved in the markets during that time, watch out. There's always volatility, so just, be aware. You probably already know that, but just want to point it out really quickly. Anyway, hope this one helps you out. Again, please make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. Totally free to do so. As always, share the video with your friends, family, social media. Hit the like button down below or the thumbs up button down below. Go back and check out any of the other thousands of videos here on the channel, including those that I have linked down below in the description. A lot of great content there as well. Otherwise, enjoy, take care, have a good one, and catch you again later in the next